per the projection of 9-point-something billion, they were able to get, GRA was able to collect 10.4 billion. What causes this? What has actually changed? Was there any economic activity that changed within the period that leads to an increment in this revenue, as per you projected in the first 3 quarters to collect 9 billion plus, and you went to collect 10.4 billion? I don't want to accuse by saying there was a revenue suppression. No, I don't want to do that. But we would definitely want to know what has changed that leads to this increment. And what economic activity has changed that you hope for, that will help us to realize tax revenue from 13 billion in 2023 to 17 billion. We have to know that. We have to know whether we will be able to get this or not. What investment has changed? What improvement do you have in the productive sector? We want Honorable Minister to definitely explain this to us, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the actuals that has been disbursed per each ministry, the actual that has been disbursed per each ministry in 2023, as a date, some are at 38%, 38% disbursement to these ministries. And we have 1 month to go. And the budget of these very ministries are increased come 2024. But they are only able to get less than 50% of the allocation in November in this year. So how do we expect to give them more of this? Where are we going to get the funds from? Honorable Minister, I want to ask a question, Honorable Speaker. We don't have oil yet. We don't know if we have it. Our oil and diamond is our water, either the underground water and our river Gambia, which is endowed with fresh water. The foreign investors that are around the coast that are using our river water, how much revenue do we generate from this? Because the more they harvest the fresh water from the river, the more the salt water intrudes our farmlands. And when that happens, then we will end up abandoning those farmlands for them, those rice fields for them. So what do we get from them? And they are harvesting these waters from the river. They are harvesting fresh waters from the river. Go around Sierra, this is happening there. Foreign investors that are having gardens and others that are drilling our underground water, what do we get from them? Is the Ministry of Water Resources getting something from this water drilling? Because our underground, we cannot say it's forever. It can be exhausted. There are some countries, their underground waters are not good. Some are about exhausted. So what are we getting from this? They're having heavy boreholes. This should be an avenue of generating resources for this country. We want to know whether we generate resources from these waters that these people harvest from our rivers to use on their agricultural purposes, and those that are also using boreholes, heavy boreholes, to drill underground water. What revenue do we generate from this? Honorable Speaker, Fisheries Development Fund. I want Honorable Minister to tell us about the Fisheries Development Fund, the way of disbursement of the Fisheries Development Fund, and how much has been disbursed into the development of the fisheries sector. For the Honorable Minister to tell us about the Fisheries Development Fund and how much has been disbursed for the development of the fisheries sector. Honorable Speaker, I also want to know, because the fees for the toll bridges is put in a lump sum, because Honorable Minister is bringing a policy for asset recycling of the Senegambia bridge, so it would be prudent if we know the actual collection of revenue from Senegambia Bridge annually, then we can make a decision as members of parliament. But this is put in a lump sum where the toll bridges are, so we will be able to know the disintegrated figure so that we know how much is generated from the Senegambia Bridge. Then we can take an informed decision as per recycling of the bridge, and that can build our economy. Because if you recycle the bridge, you have $100 million today. Are you going to pump that into the productive sector to build your economy, or are you going to take it back to the services to fund your recurrent and other things? We are just going to finish the money, but it's not going to generate anything for us. So we should be sure of what you do with the fund when you want to recycle, when you recycle the bridge, and how much you get from this bridge annually. We should be able to ascertain that to make an informed decision about the recycling process. Honorable Speaker, mining and quarrying is another issue that we should look at. Mining and quarrying should be a productive sector for us. If Minister of Petroleum or Geology Department is taking good care of the environment for us. People are mining everywhere in the country. How much do we get from this? Do we have an effective resource management as far as mining and quarrying is concerned? Because it helps us to generate funds. When it gets to the fisheries sector, if you look at the funds that we get from the EU Gambia Fishing Agreement for 2023 was zero. And for 2024, you have a projection about 900 million or something like that. If you can put me through, how much do we expect to get from this? These foreign investors are in our waters to do fishing. How much do we get from this? Are these good agreements for us? We don't just need funds, but we need to ensure that the fish population of our river is sustainable for us. You go to Tangier today, you want to buy fish, $400, $500, for the average Gambians cannot buy it. And the monies that we are getting from these people as tax is not also helping us. So we need to look at these agreements. And what is the plan from the ministry to ensure that all these things are looked at so that we manage the little resources that we have. Our resources is our water, our farmland, and our river. And it seems like people are using these things and we are not getting much from it. We cannot just say they have built us one cold store, and how much do they get if they build us one cold store? Honorable Speaker, I think there is need, if we want to sustainably manage the little resources that we have, to do a proper civil service audit. Particularly these two institutions are mentioned without fear of contradiction. National Assembly and the Office of the President, to ensure that everyone who is on the payroll are doing the work, and they are not just there as staff or to come and sit at the end of the day, they go home and you pay us our money at the end of the month. It's not acceptable. It's unfair. Let's do a proper civil service audit. We know that anybody who is on the payroll of the government is working, and this is what the person does, and we look at the performance of that individual and we convert it to productivity. I think there is need to do that. The vehicle policy, as mentioned by FPAC, this is a very important policy that we should look at. We're giving vehicles to people. I think these examples should be set by us, ministers and members of parliament, permanent secretaries. We cannot give somebody a vehicle. We fuel your vehicle for you. We give you driver. We give you the security. We do the maintenance for you. It's not sustainable, and we are doing it. And I want the Honorable Minister to tell us the class of civil servants who are given vehicles, and we are doing this maintenance for them. How many vehicles are they giving? So that we can take an informed decision as a members of parliament to say, from a minister, anybody who is going to be given a vehicle, permanent secretary, deputy permanent secretary, you give it to you in a loan scheme, you service the loan 50%, you do your fuel, you do your maintenance, you take your driver, you're on. This is why I tell some of the drivers, when I told them, go and find a job, because it is not sustainable. Your drivers are going, your employers are going to release you one day, because the monies they are having cannot sustain them and their families. So they're going to release you. I told some of the drivers, they thought I was threatening them. No. Because this is how the budget is driving us. The little that you have might not be able to sustain you, much more maintaining a driver you employ. So we need to look at this. These are potential economic issues that we need to look at. If we want to have an economic that is sustainable, we have a country that is more peaceful, more prosperous, and more just. Economic sector must be built up so that our country rely on that, but not just only on tax. Honorable Minister, I want us to have a look at this. This forum should be a dialogue and a consultative discussion to see how best we build an economy of this country, because the way it is going, it is scary. It is very much scary. 86% of our funds that we generate is going into salaries and operations. Where do we want to develop? Honorable Minister, the government is expecting to spend $13 per each individual as per 2024 budget when it comes to health. When it comes to health, $13, that's what the budget projects. $13 per individual when it comes to health services in 2024, 12 months of the year. How much do you expect? $13, if you convert it as per central bank rate, is about $750. Taxi from Burfoot to Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital is more than $1,000 if you have a patient. And when you go there, you need to also buy drugs. We need to look at this. So this is where somebody said a budget is life and death of an individual. This is why when we were unable to have a lab to test drugs, the drugs killed children in this country. If it was in the budget, we had that lab, we were not going to get into that. So budget is life and death of a country. We should be able to resolve that. Honorable Speaker, there are a lot that has to be addressed, and there are a lot of speakers that also want to come in and look at 2024 budget, but I want to challenge my colleague honorable members that this is a serious business, and we have to take it serious to ensure that we look at the budget critically, we ensure that every part of the budget, is gone into right places so that we can perform a right oversight. This is why when we go for oversight, some members of the parliament would not know how much is allocated to the ministry you are performing oversight on, how much is going into that because of the participation during the budget preparation and the passing of the budget. Honorable Speaker, I also want to come to road projects. Honorable Minister, it is important we look at road projects on the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure. The roads that are started, can we conclude those roads before we get into new projects? Because there are other roads that have started implementation, and even the disbursement of the funds about what the contractors have done 3 months ago are not disbursed to them yet. The ministry is owing them, or the government is owing the contractors of the roads that are ongoing, and we want to start new roads again. It's not feasible, it's not going to work. Let's look at the RBF and the implementation of the insurance on the Ministry of Health. The insurance, the health insurance on the Ministry of Health, we want to know the source of funds for this. Where do you want to get source of fund? Where do you want to get fund to implement the insurance? We want to know if it is sustainable or not. Because we have realized that the RBF, the resource-based finance, is helping our health sector very well, let me tell you. You go to health centers, you find that staff quarters, toilets, and other facilities are built from RBF. And it is ensuring that the patients are seen and they are delivered effective and quality service. If you want to hold that RBF for the interest of the insurance, it's not sustainable, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister of Health should be very sincere to the President and say, look, this is a very good plan, but for now it's not sustainable. We have a hard RBF that is helping the health sector. The health sector. If you remove RBF for the health insurance, believe me, in the next 3 months, you will have the health sector crippled, and the government cannot do it everything. So let's allow the RBF to continue until the project elapses in 2025. Then we look at the sustainable measures of having the RBF within our budget. Within the budget, we have the RBF within the budget. It's better than having the health insurance, because what the RBF is doing is quite great. We have done a serious research and a survey and discussed with most of the health institutions across the length and breadth of the country. And we realized that RBS is more efficient and give more quality health service. So please, we are begging of you. I am begging, and I think the health committee will support me in this submission to ensure that we have RBF in place. Because once we do away with RBF and we substitute it with health insurance, it is not going to help us, and our health sector is going to cripple. Honorable Minister, with this, Honorable Speaker, with this little remark, I beg to take my seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kiang West. Unfortunately, Honorable Member looked around and held all of us to account. That members are not taking the debate on the budget seriously, basically. Whilst I know that members can go in and out, some members may be probably doing some few things outside and coming in and out. If that comes from an honorable member, then we should look inwardly ourselves and try to improve. I now call upon the honorable member for Opanyumi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, let me first of all thank the Honorable Minister for fulfilling the constitutional requirement of laying the 2024 budget before this August Assembly. And also thank the FPAC for doing a wonderful job on behalf of the Assembly and ably tabling this explicit report before the members. Honorable Chair for FPAC, thank you so much. Honorable Speaker, my deliberation will be confined to agriculture. Honorable Minister, I want to tell the Honorable Minister that, Honorable Speaker, I want to tell the Honorable Minister that agriculture is underbudgeted, seriously underbudgeted as far as the is concerned. And if we are serious as a country to attain self-food sufficiency, money or resources must be given to agriculture to address our local needs. And Honorable Speaker, a Department of Agriculture alone, which has the extension arm of agriculture, it has the agri-engineering, planning, food technology unit, soils and water management unit, phytosanitary component, agri-engineering, pest and disease control units, and all the regional directors in the Gambia are under this particular department. They are given an allocation of only $500,000 a month. Honorable Speaker, these are the people responsible of disseminating the information, technologies, or whatsoever should move the agriculture of this country forward. And they're not giving any resource from Gambia government, no program, no money to give it to farmers, only relying on the projects. Honorable Speaker, that cannot make this country to attain the self-food sufficiency. And all the problems we are highlighting here, being health, being lack of resource, it can be addressed through agriculture. It can be addressed through agriculture because when the food is available and it's of quality, we are assured of our health. And when we are healthy, we are going to deliver. The country will move forward. Honorable Speaker, when you go to all the institutions that are subvented institutions on agriculture, that's NARI, Department of Livestock Services, Gambia Livestock Marketing Agency, West African Livestock Innovation Center, National Seed Secretariat. Honorable Speaker, these subvented institutions, only their salaries are taken care. Only their salaries are taken care. Research and development is allocated only $2.something million just to conduct research in the whole of the Gambia. If NARI, which is the only research institution of this country, is given $2.something million to conduct their research activity, how can we move agriculture sector forward in this country? Honorable members. Honorable member for Bikama South Senate here. The only significant increase or contribution we realize from agriculture, which is factored in the budget, is from livestock subsector. In the livestock subsector, Department of Livestock Services, Gilma and Wali, which are the driving force, they are not giving anything as far as development is concerned. Honorable Minister. And we talk about projects. The projects in agriculture are tailor-made. Are tailor-made, meaning that they are superimposed. They are given to them to implement the donor's desire. That cannot make this country forward. That cannot move this country forward as far as agriculture is concerned. Honorable members, we have to produce a national requirement of our food that we need as a country to feed our people. And that cannot be attained without allocating more resources to agriculture, honorable members. And that's why when you talk about food security, meaning that the country has to produce more to feed its population and the livestock. But in an event you cannot produce a national requirement, that's where DGC comes into play. They make sure that they supply the gap to make it available. And if DGC is supplying the gap, meaning that they have to ensure that the food is available and it's of quality and it's affordable. That's what they are doing. Honorable Minister, this particular institution is doing little to execute their core mandate as far as that particular institution is concerned. So we are asking you as an Honorable Minister to join with the Minister of Agriculture to renegotiate this project and to make sure that they address our local needs. That's what is more important. Otherwise, the way they are superimposed on them, on us, we are not achieving anything as far as our drive towards food security is concerned. Honorable Speaker, in this few remarks, thank you so much for giving the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Upper Nyumi. I now invite the Honorable Member for Kombo East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I must commend the FPAC committee for coming up with a summary report on the budget of the upcoming year, 2024. Honorable Speaker, I have some few observations that I want the Honorable Minister to make clarities onto. That is, it seems to be cloudy on me. The trend at which the revenues keep increasing by percentage. And looking at the economy today, getting into our national markets and international markets, knowing that Gambia is doing very little in the international markets as compared to other countries, the growth becomes a surprise. And also looking into our local trade market, we expect that the tax revenues that are to be generated would be on services that would affect the consumers directly. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I found it to be very worrying by the way the trend at which the revenue increased by percentage year in, year out. and seeing very little impact on the economical growth of individuals who are directly affected with this growth. Honorable Speaker, by looking at the 2023 market display and the economical structure of our businesses in the markets, it doubts me and worries me very well that if we are to boast of an increased revenue base in taxes at this rate, it's an alarming rate. And on that note, Honorable Speaker, I would want the Honorable Minister to take note of this growth, knowing that inflating these figures and bloating them out for societies to absorb might have a repercussion, and it might affect us in the near future. Honorable Speaker, considering that we've seen a growth in the gross domestic product, in the GDP, from 130 to 174. This is a laudable growth looking at the figures, but also in actual terms, it has been bloated by increased tax revenue and non-taxable revenue.
Honorable, 130 what?
130 billion to 174 billion.
You state that, because if you state just 130.
Sorry. 130 billion increased to 174 billion. Looking at the figures, it looks to be very commending, but then getting into the ingredients within, it has shown that we've exaggerated our figures by making it beautiful. But then looking at the actuals here, the revenue is being increased by percentage. And we need a justification of these tax revenues that are increased. Where are the sources? Where are we getting them from? And the realities of these, the chances of it to be achieved 100%. Again, looking at the deficit base, it has raised from 3.933 to 4.450 billion. And looking at these figures, there is a big disparity. Also, if you look at this thing, it has now attracted a huge domestic borrowing. And this domestic lending had also brought in unrealistic and then unreliable foreign exchange base, because most of our commodities are being imported from the outside. We have very little to export. These are the observations that I had, Honorable Speaker, to put before the Honorable Minister to give me some clarities. On the general observation of the whole budget, it could have been much better if I had gotten this revised budget sheet before today. But then looking at it in summary, it has given me that there need to be so many points to consider on, like looking into the Ministry of Finance. The percentage at which the increment has been made is like we are trying to, the budget is trying to explain that there is more attractions and incentives for revenue collectors. And in this, if you compare the two, that is the allowances attached to these collectors and their salaries, and the returns that they give to the government as revenue, if there is any comparison, the rate at which the ministry is increasing its budget, it's also something that worries me. So I need clarity on this. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I beg to take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kombo East. I now invite the Honorable Member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And I equally want to thank all committees for the budget bilateral and, of course, ministries, departments, and agencies for coming. Not all of them, though. And particular thank to the FPAC going the extra mile and then coming up with this wonderful report. Really appreciate the work. And not forgetting our right lieutenants, that is the secretaries, because whatever that we do at the end of the day, if it is not written, it means no work has been done. So thank you very much for the services you are rendering to us. Honorable Speaker, what we are debating here is the report of the FPAC, and of course with emphasis on the budget. That was the draft estimate that was presented before us here by the Minister of Finance. Honorable Minister, thank you very much also for fulfilling your constitutional mandate dictated by the Constitution and the Public Finance Act. And now the ball is in our court to look at it, scrutinize, and of course pass it with amendments, because I believe there is no budget that will ever pass here without amendments. Thank you very much, everybody. Honorable Speaker, my emphasis will be on the Ministry of Health, and I'll be very short. I wouldn't take much time, I promise. First of all, if you look at the budget for the Ministry of Health, I want to thank the Minister of Finance, of course, increasing the budget line for drugs under National Pharmaceutical Services. Last year it was 100 million, now I'm seeing 240 million. This is a very laudable initiative that you've come with. And as representative of the people, and of course, as chair of the health committee, we really want to thank you for that, because drugs are such everywhere. If you go, they will tell you drugs are not available. I'm just from my constituency. I've been to the hospital. Of course, you see patients, most of the drugs are not available. That is a fact. But I think with coming up with this increased allocation, we'll sort out these issues. Despite they have submitted a proposal of 338 million, but they're able to get 240. I think it's something that is laudable. So, Honorable Minister, thank you very much for that. We have issues, especially with personal emoluments, and then this is included as it is indicated in the FPAC report. Personal emolument, especially with hospitals, Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital and Bundung Maternal and Child Hospital. I think this is an issue that we personally discussed with the Minister of Finance last year, but I think these issues keep coming up. Honorable Minister, I think you need to sit down with the Minister of Health, especially with the hospitals, to sort out these issues, because every year they keep complaining that they are under budgeted with regards to PE for their staffs at the FSTH and of course at the Bundung Maternal Hospital. And I think this is something that can be solved between you and them without even involving us, because personal emolument, these are statutory things that have to be paid to every employee as far as we are concerned. The next thing that I will go into is the National Health Insurance Scheme. Of course, there is an act passed by Parliament here, and then establishing an authority, that is the National Health Insurance Authority. And if you look at the budget, last year something was budgeted like 36 million for the operations of the authority, and this year the same amount is also budgeted. But the question that is still not answered, and even me, I don't know the direction in which we are heading to as far as the National Health Insurance Scheme authority is concerned. It's the sources of funds for the scheme. There are specified provisions in the Act that says these are the sources of funds. But as far as the budget is concerned, every year I looked at it, but I am not seeing anything that is forthcoming as far as this funds for the scheme is concerned. So, Honorable Minister, the ball lies in your court to explain to this August Assembly what is the fate of the National Health Insurance Scheme, because it's an act that was passed here, and then still people are employed. They have been paid salary the whole of 2023, and the whole of 2024, we are budgeting for their salaries again, but we are not seeing any funds for them to operationalize the scheme. I understand there is support from the World Bank that they want to start piloting at Bundung, but hope this is sustainable, and I hope and pray that we have to start thinking inward and see what can be done. I also understand some of the sources identified in the Act cannot be realized because already they are earmarked for other government revenues, like revenue lines. So, and according to experts, we cannot double appropriate. That's a fact. But I think we have to go back to the drawing board and see what is possible, whether we are going with the insurance or whether we are not going with it. These questions need to be answered, and I think it needs to be answered immediately before we pass this budget, so that we know the direction we are going in that regard. And then this also takes me to the issue of the RBF. It's also that is something that is very important. And as representative of the people, we've gone around to almost many facilities within the country, both in the urban area and in the rural area. We've seen the impact this project have done. And in fact, now it is not a project, it's a program under the Ministry of Health. And of course, they are also receiving support from the World Bank with some support from local funds. But as we speak today, there are directives written from the Ministry of Health that the RBF is not continuing, is stopping. Now they are transitioning to the health insurance. And insurance, which you know that we don't even know where we are heading to because they have no funds to implement this scheme. This is the truth, these are the facts, and every member needs to know this so we know where we are heading to. The importance of insurance cannot be overemphasized because it is the new directive as far as health financing is concerned. But we have to be realistic, we have to be frank whether we can do it or not because it requires a lot of resources. Of course, others will also argue we don't need much resources to implement the insurance. We just have to look at inward and see how best we can change the narratives. Like, for instance, the issue of insurance. If I insure your facility, let's say Bundung, you give services to patients, it's the responsibility of the scheme to subsidize you, pay you to be able to buy certain things. But again, if you look at it from the national budget, we are budgeting for everything that the hospital is supposed to give to our people, like buying drug supplies and so on, despite they are not enough. So it's something we that we have to think and then rethink again and see how best we implement it. But the ball lies in your court, the Honorable Minister of Finance, and of course the Honorable Minister of Health, for you to tell us something which that we should know. Because for the RBF, it is something that we can just sit down and see it being stopped like that. We understand these are policy decisions. But things which they are affecting directly our people, especially with regards to service delivery. If you go to all the health facilities within the country, you see the impact, infrastructural development, purchase of drugs, giving intense incentives to staffs for them to stay on that posting area. These are all good initiatives that this program is doing. But stopping it for another program, which myself, I don't know, I think is something that we should look at, and we have to be realistic to one another. So moving on, Honorable Speaker, Medicine Control Agency. This is an issue that has been discussed here last year and it still keep coming. First of all, I want to thank the minister for at least giving them the leverage to be spending some of their internally generated revenue. But the communication, according to them, only stopped from at December, end of this year. I don't know, maybe that is the how it is done. Like every year you tell them spend until December, then in the upcoming year we see what we can do. But I think we should sort it out, and I think we had discussions with the Minister of Finance for us to settle this thing. They have some internal generated revenues, so everything is accountable for. They spend some of these things because we understand this is an inspectorate, quality assurance and inspectorate agency. They need monies, and we can't budget for everything that they're supposed to do. Because we understand the national cake is not sufficient for all these things. So please give them the leverage to spend in some of these things, but of course emphasize on the issue of accountability. And as an oversight committee, we will do the needful when the time comes to. So, Honorable Minister, please take note of that. And then last but not the least, this is the issue of testing drugs. As we speak, we have promised that I think it's also in process that the World Bank is supporting the Ministry of Health to establish a lab. And I think the initiative have gone far. They have done the concept, the land is identified and so on. But in the meantime, in the interim, the Medicine Control Agency is just requesting an amount of $30 million. This is an amount that we cannot include in our report because for us, we respect the agreement we have as far as the retreat was concerned. That's why we didn't include this. But they're requesting an amount of just $30 million for them to equip the national laboratory that we have here at Kotu, for them to be buying some of these reagents and be doing some of this basic testing of drugs to ensure there is safety for drugs when they are imported, rather than sending them all the way to India and other countries to do the testing. And I think this is something we can do as a temporal measure before the lab is fully established and operational. So, Honorable Minister, please take note. And Honorable Speaker, that's my submission. Thank you very much. The rest we do it at the Committee of Supply.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Nyaniga. I now invite the Honorable Member for Jeswang.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And thank you, Honorable Minister, for coming. And also thank you very much to the FPAC committee and other committees who are working on the budget during the bilaterals. Honorable Speaker, let me start from the house that we are in today. We are here talking about the budget. The budget that we should look at properly and debate on for our own people that send us here to represent them as representatives. This is a day that the House will be at. The House should have not been have any empty seat today. Everybody should be seated to debate on this budget. Because it's about the country, if you want to move this country forward. We tasked the expert committee to work on this budget. They spend both days and night here. If you have issues, we sit and raise it here. But not the way it happens today. It's very sad. As a national assembly member, representing my own people, to see my colleagues now leaving this house. Based on what? Should this continue? When I'm not interested, I leave. When it's not in my favor, I leave. Then next minute, nobody will not be in this house. This is a house we should argue, we should sit and discuss and come to conclusion. But not anytime we park and move. That's not correct. Let's change our attitudes. Honorable Speaker, coming to the Ministry of Finance, I will start from there. I think I have a question for the Minister, because we had bilaterals. Anytime we sit, we discuss with our line ministers, they always complain about the ceiling. How do you come to the ceiling, Honorable Minister? How do you decide on the ceiling to say this ceiling should be fit for A, B, C, and D ministry? That's a concern that I want an answer. Honorable Minister, looking at our economic growth, we are almost between 3 to 6% for the past 20 years, not at 10% up to date. What is the problem? What can lead us there? And coming on the same economic growth, it's like out of 44% of this country are living under 1.25% dollar per day. Where are we as a country? Honorable Minister, coming to the revenue aspect of it, I've seen on tax from 13.9 to 17.2, and non-tax from 2.9 to 5.5. Honorable Minister, to be honest, keep it up. We expect them to collect more than this when things are done in the right way. We should not be sitting down here all the time waiting on grants to balance our budget. We can collect those taxes here. Honorable Minister, I have a question for you. Companies are coming in this country. They are giving contracts. They are giving all what it takes to make their life at where they come from. And at the end of the day, the most part of people that they employ in this country are within the range of drivers and laborers within this, from this country. And they are going home without paying tax. Why is it happening, Honorable Minister? Why is it happening? Why are we taxing those poor teachers? Why are we taxing those poor security officers? Why are we taxing our own Gambian people who didn't have much to take home? And we are leaving people going with billions without being taxed. Why, Honorable Minister? If we want to control our tax-based revenue, we must be serious with the way we collect. We must ask people to pay tax on time and pay the right figure that's supposed to pay. We used to have the VAT tax. Is this happening still now? How do we calculate it? During our bilaterals, when we sit and discuss on bilaterals, what we only discuss about how do I spend, but how do I bring, it's a big question. How do we manage to bring more revenue? It is now time we start thinking of how do we get from 0 to 10 on the way we collect our tax. But every time we come here, yes, we are a tax-based revenue. We are continuously dependent on tax. But if we are not improving on those tax issues, where are we heading to as a country? The last time you came here, that the grant that we were expecting, not everything was available. How are we able to manage up till now when those grants were not here? That's the question I'm asking Honorable Minister. When those grants were not here, and I know that 100% of them are not around, how are we able to manage to be here where we are today? We need to know. Because these are things that need to change this country. But not always be giving grants that we are asked to use on place that we don't want to use it. Another question is, have we ever rejected grant given to us and we are saying that no, we are not interested? Do we ever reject grants given to us? Because they are not given to us, that can address our problem. They only give us grants for the sake of giving us grants, as the NAM from Obanyomi said. If you go to the agri sector, there are a lot of grants in the agri sector. But are those grants here to solve our problems? Have you ever rejected those grants to say no to those grants because we are not interested? I think it is now high time for us to start saying no to grants when they are not here to give us an impact in our population. It's important. Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, I think we need to look at our economy very well and know that the way things are going, we need to look at our level, where our economy is. What can we do to change things? We are having subventing institutions. Should we continue subventing them all the time? Let me start with the Minister of Health, per se. Anytime you go to the hospital, you pay a token of $25 and you expect to be given everything. If it's not available, you end up spending outside the hospital. Instead of spending, you end up spending outside the hospital. Honorable Speaker, I think it is high time for the Honorable Minister to come with something that we think that can sustain this sovereign institution, than not giving them money all the time. You go to the hospital, they give you paracetamol per se. You go outside and buy drugs and you spend more than $3,000-4,000 on an outside pharmacy. Why not you maintain those drugs at the hospital and ask the poor person to pay 70% of the cost? And the government pay 30%. Then try to see it as you can do it all. When you cannot do it all, we cannot do it all. It's only in this small poor country that we see and we want to have health free. It's not possible. We don't have free health. We must pay for the drugs. Let's look for a way out how we can prevent the drugs that are being sold outside. Even tests, to do tests at the hospital, you must go outside the hospital. The machines are there. The agents are not there. You go outside and pay $3,000-4,000 for a single test. When the chemistry analyzer is there, the material analyzer are also at the hospital. We still want to go outside and pay. Honorable Minister, I think it is high time you sit as a team with the Ministry of Health and look at this thing properly. If you want to move as a country, we must look at our revenue base, the way we collect our revenue. But not to let it go and then give it to the outsiders. Go to this pharmacy near the RVTH. They are queuing there every day. You see the poor farmer from the provinces coming to the hospital with your escort. You expect to feed that party at the hospital and also yourself. And next minute, you go to the pharmacy and spend $3,000 a day. Is it possible? It's not possible. This is why people are complaining. Honorable Minister, let's look for a solution out of this. So vet them, give them the medication at the hospital, let's sell this medication at the hospital and keep the hospital moving. The doctors are leaving because they're not well paid. We educate them, next minute they are gone. So I've been paying them, paying for their tuition fees, and after completion, they go. How many doctors are we losing now? Because they are not receiving enough. And this hospital could have kept them if we do the right thing. Let's motivate our young doctors. In the provinces, there are no medical doctors. Where are they not going? You compare their salaries. Going to the province, they pay you less than what they are paying you here when you are within the combos. Instead, they should pay you more. What's the problem? All hospitals are on the board. Are they helping? Are these boards helping? How to generate funds? What can we do to keep this hospital moving? We said no ambulance in a hospital. When millions are being spent outside the hospital, just for consultation, you pay $25. Another sees you, checks you, and tell you your problem. And you go and spend a lot of thousands outside. Is that fair? It's not fair, Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think it's important, Honorable Speaker, we look at our education sector. Either the minister wasn't here, I don't know the reason why he wasn't here. But the same game is happening there again. When school opens, teachers are in the classroom and they cannot teach because they don't have the material to teach. Before we used to pay what? Development fund. Before you start school, if those fees are cut, maintain the development fund. That can help them for a start when schools open. If the SIGs are not coming, they are late to come. They are late to be given to schools. So they sit and wait. Why are we always giving out when we can at least try to cut those spending a bit? Let's bear the cost as parents. Not everything on government. Government cannot do it alone. And let that be very clear. Before we pay everything before you go to school. We pay everything before you go to school. But now everything is free. And still now you cannot have good education. What's the problem? When you used to have your table and chair and go to school, you struggle to go to school with your table and chair to are opening. Now everything is free for you. And still that's the problem. I think we need to look at the quality that we are currently having. And I think definitely put it to the way teachers are being motivated. Because if you are not properly motivated, there is fist money waiting for you at home. Will you be able to take in the class? It'll be difficult. If the doctors are overused, because currently we are overusing our doctors, because we don't have enough, because they are not well paid. So they must go outside to look for money. And with that help, no Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, coming to the Minister of Interior. This is I told the Minister the last time that you are the most luckiest minister I can say. You have the
Honorable Member, you address the Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, sorry. You have the Interior Ministry, you have the Immigration Department. They are generating revenue. I asked a question to the head that if you are motivated, can you collect more than this? She said, yes, we can collect more than this. Honorable Speaker, I think it's important we look at those departments to see how we can motivate them for them to collect more. That not every time subventing them. We're going to be giving them money when they are collecting. Sit and discuss with them and tell them how much can you collect. And from there, look at their emoluments and then take it out from there. That not only time, GRA putting the pressure on GRA to be going out and collecting and also giving them out. This is why you're having a problem. This is why there's a problem, Honorable Speaker. Because any minister that comes here complains that I am receiving less. If I ask for 1 million, I am giving 200,000. If I ask for 2 million, I'm giving 500,000. Because you are giving based on what is collected. And enough is not collected, much is not given. Honorable Speaker, I think coming to the Minister of Higher Education, I think it's important, Honorable Speaker. Let me quote MD as an example and GCI. GCI and MDI are still giving money. And they are still receiving money from students. Honorable Speaker, I think it is high time you sit with, let this Honorable Minister sit with these areas. Discuss and discuss with them. Can we subvent you for a period of 3 years and stop subventing you? Can you take care of yourself? Instead of government giving you all the time, from what you are collecting, start to pay your staff, take care of your learning materials, then not keep on giving them money all the time. Will that continue? We're going to be giving her all the time when it's not there. Education, health, these areas are very expensive. Minister of Agriculture. Honorable Speaker, I think our next budget, when it comes here, we might even slice it more than the amount that is given this year. Because that ministry should be the ministry that can change this narrative of this country. How many grants are coming to that ministry? How many grants are coming to that ministry? Are the poor farmers feeling it? No. What can we do now? We have the land, we have the river, and yet still we are still struggling. Even vegetable, we have to import. In our own country, Honorable Speaker, it is time for the Ministry of Agriculture to stand up and know that it is time to change. For how many years money is given to the Ministry of Agriculture? No changes. We always come with operation A, B, C, and D. Based on A, B, C, and D. All this, nothing was realized. When will we start seeing things? When will we start feeling the budget? When will we start saying that this year's budget, the population will definitely feel the budget now? When? We say want to reduce the deficit. It's going to be difficult to reduce the deficit. If we reduce all the quantities and reduce the deficit, next year it will go. The debt referral, the Honorable Minister, I asked the question. You defer those debts till when? After the deferral, after the 5 years of deferral, what are we expecting? Are we expecting a rise in interest? Will that also help the deficit next year? I think we need to look at things properly and then see how best we can reduce the debt. And I want an explanation on how much we are owing, why are we owing, and when did we start owing? If you look at the domestic debt, it's like government is competing with the private sector. The domestic debt has gone from 2.1 to 4.3. That's a big gap. So it's like government is now competing with the private sector. Honorable Speaker, I think it is high time for the Honorable Minister to see how best they can protect this private sector, because they are also contributing towards the country. They are also contributing towards the economy of this country. You go to the banks, you took a loan, what is the interest rate? Very high. And next minute, you put in your collateral, they start calling you and start selling your compound. How best can you protect the private sector, Honorable Speaker? Our foreign currency, Honorable Speaker, this is a country where our foreign currency is not controlled. If central banks give $10, you go to the outside market, you see there are $12. Let the governor come out and explain to us the reason why what is happening. Let's have one center where we target to change our currency. But in any area you go in this country, there are shops everywhere. Then how can you control the foreign currency? If there is no control on the foreign currency, you cannot control the price. If we don't have foreign currency, where are we heading to? We must go outside and buy to import with foreign currency. We don't use dollars. But if the dollars is not controlled, if the foreign currency is not controlled, the dollars will always be going down. Honorable Speaker, I think it is high time for the Honorable Minister of Finance to sit and discuss and look at a way out for this problem. Because there anywhere you go in this country, you have in forest bureaus everywhere. Under one license with 10 forest bureaus, one license. And most of them are not people from this country. Where is the money going to? You can go out of this bank and go outside and have a $1 million to change as a foreign currency. Outside the banks. Then where is the control? I think we need to be very serious and regulate this foreign currency and reduce this forex bureaus. To have a point, we came from Botswana. The day we arrived in Botswana, it was very hard to change your dollar to their currency, because there were no black markets. But today from my house, I can call me that full amount to come and change my money for me. It's not correct. Let's control our foreign currency, Honorable Speaker. Let there be control. If that happens, at least it will reduce the deficit, and then we can control our money. Honorable Speaker, I know I've taken time, but just to conclude, the last one is about the Ministry of Interior and the drug squad or the Drug Enforcement Agency. Honorable Speaker, Every day we are complaining about drugs. It's coming in the country. Our youth are taking drugs. Our youth are killing each other. Just last week in Maninaring, somebody committed suicide because he wanted to use the bag and his family wasn't helping. Honorable Speaker, what is given to the drug reinforcement agency? Is it enough to take care of their needs? How can you fight a millionaire with $1? Because those who are bringing drugs in this country are not poor people. They are people with millions of dollars that wants to make ends meet, to add it on what they have. And now you want to send a poor man like me to go and apprehend them? Then corruption starts somewhere. What can we do to motivate them? Their budgets are always sliced. And when they ask, they are giving not what they are giving. I'm very much concerned about the drug squad. Because our youth of today, honestly, at the end of the day, they are the problem. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, I'm appealing to you to tighten your belt. You'll be blamed. You'll be labeled. They will call all sorts of names. Do what is right for us to save this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Yeswang. Honorable members, I have seen a lot of eyes, especially from the mid-gathers, looking at me intently in my eye, meaning, of course, that people want to go and pray and have their food. It's almost 4 o'clock. We will suspend sessions until 5 o'clock. When we pray, we just come back. You will have had your lunch, you will have had your prayers, and we come back at 5 o'clock. Am I right? Is that okay? Yeah. Now the House is now suspended until 5 o'clock. 5 p.m.
The main essence of the budget is to cater the needs, aspirations of Gambian people. In essence, the budget is the nucleus or the nerve center of this country. Our country development projects, our life and livelihood depends on this budget. So it will be very improper if two documents were presented that have some fundamental errors. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, in the budget that I conducted bilateral with the Human Rights Commission, the submission that they did with that of the Minister of Finance, there is significant reduction of their budgets. And that was put to us as a committee. We will definitely appeal to the Minister of Finance to augment that of Human Rights Commission budget. A simple fact of this is we are now living in a democratic state. And in a democratic state, fundamentally the rights need to be checked. And this is a very institution that was established by this National Assembly to look into the rights, fundamental rights of every citizen and non-citizen living in this country. But they cannot do this when their budgets that have been presented to you have been cut. We understand the ministry's idea that we work towards reducing our deficit, which is a good way, but there are some institutions that are very important in terms of their contribution towards maintenance of certain values within our country. Honorable Speaker, the bilateral we have conducted with the Minister of Defense we made some saving, and these savings, as the FPAC report indicated, is directed towards arm and ammunition to be given to them for them to purchase arm and ammunition, not defense interior. Honorable Speaker, in our engagement with the Minister of Defense, it comes to the attention of the committee members, it is the primary responsibility of the government to keep the armed officers in the barracks. But due to insufficient results, we now have an agreement with them that their rates should be cut, so that should be reduced, so that most of them could have their way in the barracks or settle in the barracks. Basically, Honorable Speaker, as I said, several cuts were made in the ministries and departments, and I have seen the FPAC reports that some department or some committees are suggesting that some of the cuts that were made should be, that is an agreement of all of us, should be within the other budget lines within the departments or ministries. But having said that, we also avert our mind to the policy of the ministry to reduce the deficit. It will be very prudent if the cuts and the savings that were made can be used in order to reduce that deficit. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Busumbala. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Fonyi Kansala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also thank the Minister for fulfilling his mandate. Honorable Speaker, I believe a budget should be of importance to the lives and livelihood of us, the Gambian people.
Motion, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, we believe that.
All right, Honorable Member for Kansala.
Sorry, okay.
Just give us a minute. Somebody, Banyul, no?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion for us to extend this assembly business to sit beyond 6 o'clock, please.
Can you amend it? Because people are saying we sit to finish. No.
To sit beyond 6? Yeah, to complete business, please.
It's been moved that we sit beyond 6 to finish business. Any seconder? Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion for us to sit beyond 6 to complete business. Thank you.
Honorable members, it's been moved and seconded that we sit beyond 6 to complete today's business. Those in favor, please say aye. Not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Kansala, can you continue?
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. We believe as a nation, we will only make progress if department, institutions, or ministries are laid in budget lines, and in which the finance minister has heavily did for 2024. Honorable Speaker, the minister had informed us one thing that is fundamental, that is tax revenue. This is something that is the driving force of the economic of the Gambia. And we believe as 2024 approved budget, about 17 billion plus. So then now we have an increase of 22 billion in 2024. We are putting these test trials to the Minister of Finance. In this increment, what had your ministry put in place to make sure it assures this revenue line, that they'll work heavily in making sure it is attained? And if it is attained, what strategy would it be put in place to make sure the ministry finance take up with GRA to make sure not only year in, year out, taxing GRA, come with this amount, but there must be proper tools, apparatus that are available to make sure we could see a trajectory move in this country in terms of revenue generation and revenue mobilization. We believe if GRA is more empowered and also put to test a lot of revenues leakages, uncollected issues, are all manifesting in all sectors. So we want your guidance in this. Why pegging this amount? Year in and year out in the budget, GRA is pegged. Give us this, give us this, give us this, give us this. Why pegging them into one statutory amount? Honorable Speaker, in areas of health, hospitals, as we all know, we will not depend on donors or aids to make our hospitals better. We will only do so if resources are available amicably to see that development. We are told by the report of FPAC that the Ministry of Health, FPAC is tasking Minister of Finance to create a development budget line for hospitals. So are we saying those budget lines are cut off? And if so, why? Looking at the cognizant aspect of some of those hospitals, you go to their wards, you go to their outpatient departments, you would see a lot of dilapidated structures that will not even welcome patients. So if we are only depending either World Bank or so-and-so will do X, Y, Z, are we not risking our hospital? If that doesn't work, what will be the next move for that sector? So Minister of Finance, assist us in this. Honorable Speaker, one of my colleagues, I don't want to dwell much onto RBF, resource-based financing. It is doing very well. You go to all hospitals, a lot of changes we see in those hospitals. But we have to be frank to ourselves, as a nation and as a country. Something that is good, that is making changes to that sector, to those hospitals, we believe you could do it more better in terms of trying to bring substitution. Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, we want the Minister of Finance to investigate this. Is it a substitution of RBF to insurance? We want to know. If it is so, we are also putting this test trial to the Committee of Health that don't sell your good friend that have stood with you to a new friend that you don't even know his position. So we believe RBF will be of importance, and RBF should be here to stay. And we believe with RBF, the changes that we are seeing in those health centers and hospitals is a sign that is very, very clear. So changing it or bringing notion, beautifying with words and policies or programs, it's not the best way. And we believe as Minister of Finance, you're here for the country. As a ministry, put us in the right direction in making sure we see this RBF becoming a tool that is making a global change in the health sector. And we believe it is best in interest of our health sector. And we task this committee, the health committee, to follow this and make sure they could also participate in making sure they do justice to this. Honorable Speaker, I move to foreign affairs. As I do always tell people, these are embassies that are outside the Gambia. I think we should put a mechanism, a weighing machine, that will now be able to weigh each and every of those foreign services to see what are they participating to our country's development. The ones that are doing more, we assist them. The ones that are doing less, we cut down their budget for the betterment of this country. The chunk of our finance that is going to those institutions is of millions. I believe we will only be saying, I have an embassy in XYZ, I have an embassy in this area, when it's not contributing. We will not be having areas where we said you have embassy XYZ when that embassy is not bringing productiveness in terms of our economic. Those ideas are gone. And as representative of the people, we have to make sure we use mechanisms to put in place to make sure those foreign services do also do something for us. Honorable Speaker, in area of agriculture, I wonder how do we have a befitting country, a healthy country, or a healthy nation without us eating what we grow. And these are slogans manifesting. You go to departments, agriculture will be coming with new slogans. When there's nothing that is in place to make sure it informs us in that particular area. Billions of our finance is invested into importing rice. Rice. Look at the length and breadth of our country, where we can grow ably rice for survival. But yet still, agriculture has not given us even a plan, a strategic plan in that full food self-sufficiency that they are calling off. I disagree in increasing their budget. Because why? Efficiency is not there. And this is one of the areas that are a lot of grants, that have a lot of expertise. But with those grants and expertise, it is still zero. We are not informed. Even a single bag of rice, you will not even see made in the Gambia or produced in the Gambia. So we believe that we are here for business, and this budget should be a budget that will reflect the life and aspiration of our Gambian people. Our farmers are still suffering. All ancient farming tools. You hear agriculture talking, farm implement, these tractors and all these issues. Yes, still is zero. The hay, for example, look at groundnut now, the fertilizer that they are also selling. I think Minister of Agriculture should also look at this critically to see what type of fertilizer are they supplying us? Because the hay is more of the seeds itself. When you talk of us farmers, you can be testimony to that. So I believe in agricultural production, we have to move from theories, seminars, conferences, visit areas, extension workers knocking each and every door to reality, for us to be able to see that rice that is owned by the Gambia. So without which, we'll be talking of health issues, implications. Do we know how old is that rice that is imported from other countries? The storage, how was it stored, for how many years? So this is why some of us, we will face a lot of ailments. because where the source is for, we don't even know. So I believe Minister of Agriculture should be serious. I've also, last session, I've also asked this to say that the Minister of Finance in Cabinet, or even the President, transfer the ministry to Sapo or Yal Pacha. We should be able to see differences. But if instead they are all floating within the combos here, driving luxurious cars, initiating projects, whatever, how do we produce? We will not. We will not be able to produce anything. These are facts that are there. Talk of utility costs of agriculture with projects alone. It can even cover the entire ministry. So if we're really serious, let's reduce expensive costs in agriculture. Let's reduce a lot of incentives in agriculture, and we'll be in productive of making sure we will venture into agriculture to see dividend for our change. Even a simple fruit juice is not even produced in the Gambia. Maybe we have natural mineral water, whatever, but fruit juice tagged with agricultural production that we are now moving from X to this is still a challenge. So we are taxing Minister of Agriculture. If they are not ready to uphold the food self-sufficiency, let's take a position as Parliament. And we will. That either this is done, or we do X to make sure we break that barricade to see that sooner or later we have what? A rice that is made in the Gambia. And we can do it. A honorable member of Joshua also quoted Botswana here. It was an informed decision of cabinet or the presidency. Said we are stopping importation of what? Vegetables. Today, no vegetable is coming from outside Botswana. Can't we do that as a country? But if we start doing that now, the drum singers of Democrats will say this is dictatorial. You have to dictate to make ends meet for your country. You have to dictate to make sure you bail your people from suffering. You have to dictate to make sure you inform a particular country in the right footing. Without which, they'll just be singing their drumming. Talk of democracy. What is democracy itself? Honorable Speaker, I move to basic and secondary education or higher education. I could join these two ministries. It's rather unfortunate. These two ministries, what they are owing to institutions like UTG, University of the Gambia, what they are owing to the Gambia College, what they are owing to GTT, about 130 something million that they are owing as scholarships. So now, what do you expect that ministry to do? When their people are sent to those universities, they say, no, go, you don't even pay, And then they'll now be negotiating, and they'll facing challenges in their own budget to see how they will be able to move on. So I believe something needs to be done by the Minister of Finance to solve this issue. Now, as you don't pay those institutions will also continue to suffer. UTG is suffering, GTI is suffering, MDI or Gambia College will also continue to suffer. So I believe the solution to this problem is, let's make sure whatever the budget line talks, we work towards achieving it. And now looking at higher education, this is one of the ministries that I've said is one of the most productive game changer in all ministries. I can attest to that. They are doing very well. Either you like it or not, or others like it or not, we will talk. Minister of Higher Education is doing extremely well. And they're doing program-based budgeting. Can't we institute all those areas? Go to their areas. Go what they are doing. See the readiness, the zeal in them. But other ministry, I think, for us, may Allah help us as a country. And may Allah help us as a National Assembly. We will only attain the best of it when we take the bull by the horn. We can do checks and balances of ministries. Some ministries are just here as babysitters. You see the baby, pull it and move like that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. See the way they're doing. Today, look at Minister of Higher Education. This is a plus. Rental aspect that they are facing with Rinjan Cinema, GTMI, whatever, MDI or the other areas, no more. They have transferred now to UTG in Faraba. So this is what we want. We want progressiveness. We want a minister that is pragmatic in doing their things. And I believe it's not fair the way their budget is cut. Honorable Minister of Finance, look at this critically and see a way out to bail Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology for the betterment of our country. And they'll be able to do enough. If you go to, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the budget, you have research areas in different departments or different ministries. Why can't we do it this way? All research aspects is based on Minister of Higher Research, Science and Technology, Higher Education. Augmented budget, they control and do everything possible. And I believe they have the capacity to do that. Where you have this ministry research, the other ministry research, what are they researching? What are they bringing us? What informed decision are we seeing as a country? We will only change and change for the better to see a trajectory move of a country. But if not, we will just become in budget, and this is not a development budget. This is a trial budget. This budget cannot take us anywhere. Why? Because if you look at personal emolument alone, it has taken the chunk of the budget. What development can we do with this budget? If we don't involve research base. So we believe the only way that we can make change is the change has to start from here, this assembly here. All of us has to begin that change here. Not outside. Those people they don't do anything. Ministers cannot do, but it has to start here. We have to put, test to ministers here, departments here, and say that this is what we want. Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Speaker, I hereby task the Minister of Finance next year. Let's see program-based budgeting in all sectors. Not only picking and choosing. That's not the way. We have to see all and sundry. And the other thing that I can put across to honorable members, let's look at ministries that are productive based. We empower them for them to bring resilience into our economy. They can add something. A ministry that doesn't even produce anything, you're giving them this much. The one that is doing something to bring something to us, it is lessly valued. Maybe a year, 5 ministries, we can give you this and we tax you to develop this. Honorable Speaker, we can only make change when we are ready to take the bull by the horn. And we have our knives and cutlasses to make sure we do that. And this is what we are here for. That's why I always tell honorable members, being the representative of Fonyi Councillor, any day that I leave my seat to run for outside or to seek for refuge outside, that day I'll tell my people of Fonyi Councillor that I'm resigning. I will not leave my seat. I'm here for them. And I'll stand for them. And I will also prepare to make sure I will also speak on their behalf. But the moment you leave your bar and say, okay, I'm packing, I'm going, who are you going to meet outside? I'm not that. Sit. Be a soldier that will not leave the battlefield. And you defend with or without ammunition. You are here to stay, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, looking at the percentages in which ministries or departments have also anchored 2023, or as you see, 37% of budget execution, 48% of budget execution, 50%, 60%, others 80, 89, or 91%. Let me make it categorically clear, Honorable Speaker, and this goes to the Minister of Finance. Honorable Speaker, Minister of Finance, health in hospitals. We go to school and learn. We go to other areas to do agricultural production. Security is in place there. You have to execute your budget, sit the whole day and night. Somebody is at your back watching you. to sign even a budget, approve letters in the highest echelon or the highest position in this country, a security must be standing in front of you at the back or at your rear, top, bottom, left, and right. They are there for you. I look at the rents and rate where FPAG has captured our resolution, saying we cut the rents and rate to 150 per annum for officers. You see, Honorable Speaker, as representative of the people, we are doing unjust to other members or other officers in the army. If, for example, rent salary is 200,000, for example, the top cadre officials in the army, from the CDS down to senior officers, $1,700 is their house rent. Multiply by a year of 150 or 200,000 that you're paying to that captain, a major or a lieutenant colonel's house. What would be the difference? Why can't, Honorable Speaker, we are on trial, and I'll say it as it is. And the Minister of Finance is here to take it as it is, and he implement as it is to see a trajectory move in our security. My suggestion is this. Before you pay rents and rates, 200,000 a year, 400, how to call it, 100, 250, 150, increase that allowance for that officer. Or if that is done, it will help. Now, I want to qualify this. If, for example, Commander-in-Chief or CDS is being paid $1,700, $1,700, who among us, all of us here, all members who are here, who is paid $1,700 as your house rent? The guy who is leading the top security heads, leading barracks, leading battalions. Your house, you have to pay $1,700. So I believe it's high time we revisit the pay structure of this security force. We have to be honest. And now, a sergeant in the police, $250. A sergeant in the police, $250. House rent. In my village, in Nyokoloba, you don't even have that house. So what we think is of importance, Honorable Speaker, Minister of Finance, with your technocrats and Public Service Commission, I am taxing you people to go and put your house in order to make sure it is a national cake, and all of us are equal in this national cake, where we need to at least treat other sectors as important and for the betterment of their executions of their duties. And by and large, we've also been pressured that TACOS of the Gambia Armed Forces is still lingering, is still circumambulating around, checking the finance, whatever, we are doing XYZ, we are doing XYZ. And now let me also tell you this, Honorable Speaker, Minister of Finance, immigration as a department could be a game changer of our resource mobilization. But do you know what some of those immigration officers will do? They'll be renting their own cars, rent cars, commercial, they rent cars, and go and collect revenues of government. And they'll pay those cars and also give back to the government. Are we really serious as a nation? These are facts that are there. So in order for us to make gains, in order to increase our revenue, what is stopping the government coming with a resolution, full pack cars, from Karen to Koina, for immigration to do their work, and they'll do a game changer in our resource mobilization. Not only GRA. And after all, they will not even be compensated. They are still paid their normal small salaries. And they say, do your job. Thank you for your service. And we recognize the security force, the eminent effort that they are doing. But it has to start from here. So take note of all those trials that are going within the security sectors. And we want them to be standing both day and night, roaming, as we are also moving with our limousines and enjoying our corridors. And they are still taking so and making sure this sit properly, do this. We are protected. You are doing this. Is that fair? Let's speak the truth. And it's only way that we can also work towards this budget. This budget has to include everybody. irrespective of where they belong to or which sectors. In order for us to make gains, Honorable Speaker, I believe the Minister of Finance could work towards taking up these challenges. And the other thing that we do also face in those departments, both interior, that we are told, and this I think is high time, maybe we put it to you, Honorable Speaker, to the Minister of Finance. We are told that our last budget we've approved, I think 3 cars, Sibanor, Soma, and another areas in the CRR for the purchase of their vehicles. Two, Sibanor and Soma. But the surprising thing that we had, Honorable Speaker, if I'm wrong, Minister of Finance, when you come in, correct me, that approval were done at the office of the President, including the vehicle of the IGP, but the IGP vehicles was purchased. The 2 vehicles are left. Why? You want to know? Are you now making sure to protect that livelihood of security officers in those areas? That of IG is been bought. About $5 million vehicle is bought. So we want clarity here. Why? Why that? So these are all issues that I think it is high time we augment our securities. And in the other area, we want you to look at holistically the internal aspects of security, the challenges that they are facing. And if our securities are not built properly with their apparatus tools, it's going to be very difficult and we'll face challenges as a country. In order for us to have a trajectory and a safe country, these sectors must be fully given what they ought to. And it has to be now, not before or after. It has to be now. Changing from this budget we want to see. Honorable Speaker, we've been also told that in terms of protecting aspect, we all know drug is a challenge in a country. So in those challenges, drug squad is doing an enormous job in that. But they are less resource, less powerful, and they are left with nothing as what? Proper tools for them to do their functions. So I want them to be also considered to make sure we work towards issues that are guiding. And the simple fact that I want to make very clear, I am not talking to favor security forces, but I'm talking to make sure I favor us Gambians. When the incident, Honorable Speaker, when the incidents of Sokoto occurs here, some honorable members were terrified. Others ran and left the chambers, went home, because why they said it's not even safe. But you know the problem is lack of quick response was in the delay aspects of fuel. We have to be very clear, because the police were unable to be on time because they don't even have fuels for their cars. It was the army that responded. So I believe these issues we have to work on to see how do we assist and support them. We have to see how do we also see how do we play around to make sure that we have a change. And if we are secure, we are protected, food self-sufficiency will come, healthcare system will come, whatever we think of will come. But if those security, you not even go to school, neither even take your child to school. So, Honorable Speaker, I am of the view that with perfect measures put in place, it will also help us. Now, the other last thing that I want to conclude, digital economic. The Ministry of Digital Economic is on a transformation. But it's really very sad when I saw the budget of last year, 30% was executed, 30%. We're talking of digitalization. Communication system is zero between departments or institutions in the Gambia. 2023 budget execution was around 30%, if I'm right. And now look at what they're also giving this budget. And you expect for them to do, street addressing, digitalization, all XYZ. You expect for them to do this? And I even wonder who had even give Honorable Speaker suggestions of splitting these two ministries, information and communication. Who must have given that? So if that is done already, yes, still it's a challenge for you to make sure you support either of those ministries. I think it's better we would have maintained and see. Now we see progression in those areas. Sometimes technocrats will come and say, technocrat, you know, we are in this digital age, we are in this XYZ. We have to be very careful of this technocrat. Sometimes the way they'll even mix us with another end before we realize now failure occurs in our country. And I think it's high time for us to make sure we solve for those issues. Honorable Speaker, I want to clear this to the air. And this is the Bantaba where we can speak. This is the Bantaba where we should be heard. A budget of this, we have to make sure it is very clear to us and parliamentarians and our people. I've been put to test in this in my constituency. Your budget, your clothing allowance as National Assembly members has been increased. But who? Who has increased? It's not us, not National Assembly members. It's not us. It has to be very clear. If you don't know the way we operate in this assembly, ask. The other side is National Assembly, the other side is service, National Assembly service, if I'm right. Two of them are joined together. So maybe they'll even see that my name is Wee when my name is Tijan. So I'm saying for them to understand that this book, us as representatives of the people, we won't increase our clothing allowance. And in fact, our clothing allowance is one of the least paid. If you make proper analysis, 1,666 the whole year. Who is paid that? Who? Even a soldier, a plainclothes soldier at State House, his or her clothing allowance is far better than us as National Assembly members because we are paid one of. I think it's high time, us, we are the decision makers. Let's decide. Let's decide on this. We change it to make sure either monthly we are paid. Accumulatively, it's not trying to sell that bad image to us. It's our suggestion, if you like. There's no hard and fast where we are forcing people. Everybody is entitled to his or her own opinion. And I think I'm speaking and I must be heard for the betterment of this house. The BBC's news sellers are selling it out. But we are telling them, it's not us. We are divided in this assembly. Meaning what? We belong to different groups. Assembly is a group of its own as National Assembly, but we also have the services.
Honorable member, what do you mean when you say that we are paid, I don't know, our clothing allowance is increased?
What I'm just saying is, there is a portion where 2024, page 324, where a budget line of assembly services on clothing allowance. Instead, they are now saying that it's the National Assembly members who have once again increased their clothing allowance.
Honorable member, that is very clear that assembly service and National Assembly members are different.
That's why,
Honorable, I think what I'm trying to say is the budget. If you look at the budget estimates, it's both for NAMS and service people. But whatever is in that budget is approved by the National Assembly. So what we are saying is there may be errors here and there, but to the best of our knowledge, there are no increments in NAMS clothing. That one was a one-off payment. You will never have it again. How can that be? You will never be paid until the next parliamentary calendar. Yeah, but you inform the media that they are misinformed. They don't know. No, but you know, but the way that he is clarifying it implies that we are still at box. You cannot proportion the blame to somewhere. Whatever happens in this institution, we as NAMS are the ones held responsible, and we should be held responsible. If the media houses are distorting the information,
Don't apportion blame. Tell them they are not saying the truth. As simple as that. Because for us as NAMS, our clothing allowance is a one-off payment. One-off payment. You are paid, you will not be paid until the next batch. So there can be no increment on that. The other thing is, the assembly service is part of the public service. And their clothing allowance is not all of them. Their clothing allowance is both those who are entitled to clothing allowance. But what we are saying is there is no increment on it. The only possibility may be you are paid 1,000 total, and then two other new staff are employed, for instance, and they are entitled to it, and they will get 100. It will be 1,200. But there is no increment. But let's take the responsibility to clear that air. Please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think we are beating the same drum. The sounds may not be different. What I'm just trying to say, I am talking to...
Our only difference, Honorable Member, is you tend to dodge the responsibility. You say it's not us. We have two arms as it is the service. You should take that responsibility. That's what I'm saying. The assembly service is here to service you, and they don't get anything without your approval.
Yes, what I'm just saying to you is, I am referring to people who are outside the world, misinforming people about what is happening here. This is what I'm putting across, saying that we have two camps here. The National Assembly members are in their line. We also have the service, it's also another part. So clearing the air, meaning it is for the National Assembly services, not National Assembly members. This is what I'm clarifying. So I'm talking to that guy outside to understand the status quo, that it is us as National Assembly responsibility to make sure we iron out. We are taking full responsibility of this budget. It is ours. We are not running away to say that we are not in the position to stand for this budget. And we'll defend it.
Chair, point of observation. Yes, it's yet to be ours. It can only be ours after the committee of the whole house. When it is adopted, it becomes our document.
Can I observe you? I think you are not explaining it properly. What you mean, if I get you properly, yes, it's not like he's putting blame on the service. The allowances there is not for members of National Assembly, it's for staff. It's for staff. You are not talking about the initiator, you are talking about the beneficiary. So that is it. So the beneficiary is the staff, it's not the National Assembly members. So I think that's what we want to elucidate. Yes.
In addition, honorable members, let's remember that the minister and his technical people only prepare the budget for us. They put in what they think is the best for the Gambia. But it is your prerogative and your responsibility to appropriate it, to make sure that you stamp with approval. That's your responsibility. But members sometimes speak as the minister is telling you that this is what must be done. The minister brought in a proposal, and you looked at it at your various levels. The minister is informed by the revenue and the proposed expenditure. How much do you have and how much do you want to spend? So let's look at it from that perspective. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I think maybe we are all speaking the same language, and I believe, the understanding is a challenge for some National Assembly members. Yeah. Honorable Speaker, we believe that as representative of the people, we are not here for our pockets. We are here to defend the cause of this country. And whatever it takes, we should shoulder it in whatever form, either with an eyebrow raiser or a hand or a walk-in, or even any method that is possible to see that we can salvage ourselves from this bondage of things or thinking that will not benefit our country. Honorable Speaker, finally, I want to put this to the Minister of Finance about this Forex. I think it's high time Forex bureaus or Forex exchange or local exchange, whatever you call them. We believe as a country, we should be ready to take a position on this. You go, you can change. And the saddest part of it, they're doing their own most thing that they think. At a free will, are we saying, Minister, Honorable Speaker, this goes to the Minister of Finance, are we saying that there are no laws that either affects criminalizing them or even putting them to a test? You see them moving. My sons are all over streets or meeting points of Westfield, whatever joker you name them, they're there. Can I change this? Can I change this for you? In dollars, pounds, they do it. What is affecting? Are there no laws that are in place? If so, I think it's high time for us to make proper laws. And if there is laws, be ready to make sure you put foot soldiers, paramilitaries, intelligent officers to go around and make sure they apprehend those people. My honorable member was here. When we went to Botswana, at the airport, if you don't change, you cannot. You go to the bank. Without banking, you cannot do any changes. But for me, I can even sit at my own home and I do changes of my money. Any forensic currency that I want in the Gambia, I can do it. And the other saddest part is, Honorable Speaker, we as a country, I think we have to be ready to borrow each other in terms of positions to make a trajectory move of this country. It's high time then. It's high time. Why? Because when you look at issues, even rents, Honorable Speaker, to the Minister of Finance, even rents, they charge in dollars and pounds. They charge. In my own country, I cannot pay my own currency. Sorry, my own currency, rents in my currency. It has to be a dollar or a pound or whatever. So these are issues that we need. It's not skyrocketing. It doesn't even need a thinking. It doesn't even need a policy to make sure you stop all these issues that are happening. Do we need policies? So what we could do is high time we make ends meet of this country. We will reduce ourselves from these trials if we take the bull by the horn. And it will not work, without which we put heads together. So, Honorable Speaker, on that note, I task the Finance Minister to come with resolutions. Or if it is there, we want to see action. We have various forces with uniform, without uniform, that they can execute these things. And we can clear this affection in our country within a blink of an eye. So why the laziness? Why not doing? Why the affection? What is going on? We want to know. If there are forces behind economic holding, we will be able to be informed in this.
Honorable Speaker.
So I believe so. Honorable Speaker, I end
my
my speech. Thank you very much.
May I
Thank
rise
you.
on a
Thank
point
you.
of order? Yes, I wanted to rise on a point of order or to remind Assembly on the point of order 86, subclause 7. The debate on the motion shall be confined to the estimate and explanatory statement together with the reported findings and recommendations of the National Assembly's Committee of Public and Finance Committee. Please. Public Finance Committee recommendation assembly and consider report of National Assembly Committee of the budget. So I am appealing, Honorable Speaker, to confine our submission on the findings.
Honorable Majority Leader, yes. You are absolutely right. In fact, when I was introducing the Honorable Chairman of this thing, I said in my statement, I quoted sections for you that should guide us in our deliberations on these estimates. And honorable members, I told you if you want to be a parliamentarian, you must read your Bible well. Very well. When a member stands to speak, no other member should talk. It's your own, these are your laws. You made it. Some of you just want to be felt. Just somebody to say that, oh, when people said this, he disagreed.
or even the speaker was speaking, he's saying no. Is that a pride? Should that be a pride? From me to every other member, we should be guided by this document. And we will spare no efforts to make sure that we abide by it. It's our own. If there are things that are uncomfortable, we want to remove them, let's remove it. I now invite the Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In leadership, you are either a dictator or a puppet. One of the most important things is the budget that is here before us. These are twins. As we can see, they are twins, and they are confusing themselves. This is exactly what the member for, is it Nyomi, what Nyomi? Is it Nyomi, Suleiman Saho was exactly talking about? Badibu, member for Badibu. Honorable Speaker, as the FPAC committee, it is the trust that is bestowed on them by the National Assembly for them to go over all the budget and come back and report to us. They have reported to us, but the confusing book that is put before us, we are saying we don't want anything to confuse us. You cannot give us a document and want us to debate on the document on the very day. It is unacceptable and should not be accepted. And even if all are in for it, I am not in for it. Because they give you a big volume just to confuse you. That being said, Honorable Speaker, looking at the budget to address the needs of the Gambian people, I believe we should desist from renting departments that the Ministry of Higher Education are renting, NCCE are renting, you have the National Human Rights Commission are renting, Ministry of Interior renting. And we are the people that own the land. It's the government that owns the land. This is why we have the Ministry of Lands. For the Ministry of Land, their sole responsibilities should be to provide land for the ministries so that we can go out of this renting. People are renting because they don't have the capacity. But a government cannot be renting, wasting money because you have connection with those that owns those places. You want to give them some token of money. That should not be accepted. And I think every genuine Gambian should frown upon that thing. Renting department should be a thing of the past. You cannot rent a ministry for $3 million. If you use that $3 million on annual basis, you use $3 million to construct your own ministry. For 3 years, that will be $9 million. At least you should be able to finish or at least complete everything. If you are unable, then the fourth year, that will be $12 million. You should be able to finish everything. I think the country should be thinking in that perspective. That is the only way we can liberate ourselves. And then the money that we are generating will be of use for us. But look at how much money are we using for rent and maintenance on this big budget, on these big volumes. So what is actually eating our money? Our money is being eaten by travels. And if you are traveling, we are giving you money. But if you are coming, you are not coming with anything. That is what is sad. And this is a sad reality. And this applies to both the institutions, including the National Assembly. We are giving you money for you to travel. But as you are coming, you are not coming with anything. I think this ban on travel, the first time I saw this, I supported it.
Honorable member.
Okay.
Honorable member, you must try to behave responsibly. National Assembly is a member of various statutory bodies. That we are obligated to go and attend and then come back and report to Parliament. That we share best practices. That helps us to at least support each other with our agendas. That is to ensure that democracy, rule of law flourishes in Africa and around the world. So it's not always material that you go and bring. And how do you know that it's not brought?
Well, you are not giving something. Please, let's try to make some responsible statements. We don't want to associate ourselves with that. Please go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, the challenge for the young is huge, but we still continue to the end. As I said, the budget should be looking at how to address inflation. And the inflation, the Honorable Minister last time initially told us that in 2022, that in 2023, the inflation will drain us by 13.4%, and today the inflation is at 18.5%. As a country, the young are ready to take the center stage in governance, and this we are going to mount on, and we will never bow down at all costs, and in the interest of the nation that we will stand for. Inflation is what is ruining us. How do we remedy inflation, Honorable Speaker? NCCE have been seriously under-budgeted. When I say under-budgeted, meaning the PE is there, but the operation is not there. National Council for Civic Education. It is the sole responsibility of NCCE to be educating and enlightening the people, enlighten the people on the progress, on the laws that are made, on what is affecting them, to educate them, maybe in televisions, in radios. But if they are not given the financial muscles to carry out their operations, they are handicapped. So you set up an institution and handicap it because you don't want it to function. That is not actually what will take us forward as a nation. Honorable Speaker, it continues. To the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology. This is one of the best ministries, as other members have highlighted. And this, I don't want it to be hearsay. I want action to be taken on this. All other ministries are budgeted in the right direction, are properly budgeted. But for this specific ministry that is performing, that is expanding, because we recently noticed that the students have moved to Faraba campus, and that comes with a cost. The bus service and the transport, the ministry is paying for it. Ndemban Skill Center, Kanilai Skill Center, Gulangel Skill Center, all those places in operation. The TVET, GTTI, transformation. And they are also in the verge of transforming the Gambia College. But this ministry, last year, 230 million was budgeted for this ministry. And in this, 275 million was budgeted last year. This year is 230 million budgeted for that ministry. I don't want it to be hearsay, just you hear it without doing anything. I want something to be done here as members. And this I am referring to honorable members of the National Assembly. As much as we want to reduce deficit, but this is a ministry that is truly handicapped. And I said this many times. How do you want to develop the nation in the absence of education? How? Why are we sending our children to school? Because at the end of the day, they will become, there will be the people that will be in authority, that will be in power. But if we don't give them the education that is required, then we are handicapping ourselves as a nation. And if we are asked why we are not developing, why we have this skeletal budget, it's because we are not educated. We don't have that level of education as a country. So the only place that we can have it through is the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology. That ministry we should empower. And I believe all of us, the members here, should look at this critically because it's seriously under budgeted. That is something that I want to find out and I want us to talk about it. Disbursement of funds from the Ministry of Finance. Honorable Minister, ministries face great challenges when they write to your office requesting for the disbursement. It is a great challenge for the ministries. Some of the ministries, people are saying they only spend 30% of their budget. When there is no disbursement from the Ministry of Finance, how can you spend it? It's an impossibility. You cannot spend it. No matter how determined you are, no matter the challenge that you face in your ministry, if the fund is not disbursed from the Ministry of Finance, you cannot spend that money. So this is why at the end of the day, you see 30% of the budget is what will be carried out. It's a challenge. And for this budget, we were looking at it and we were thinking like the civil servants, their needs Because of the inflation have rise, we are saying the civil servants, their need will be addressed. How will we address that? Like for instance, when we talk about teachers, for long we have negated them, for long we did not compensate them, even said they continue to try. Because we all knew clearly that you cannot pay $250 as house rent for anybody. I told you many times here, there is no part of the country where you can rent a house for $250. Nowhere. But they are still bearing. But the day will come that they will be compensated for the service that they are doing. The day will come. And how I wish this budget goes further to address the need of that farmer, to address the need of that fisherman. That is what we are looking at when we talk about budget. How will this address inflation? How will this budget address inflation? And what mechanism do we have to tackle inflation? That being said, I want to rest here, but Honorable Speaker, the challenge for the young will live up to the challenge. Thank you.
We pray that the young continue to live up to the challenge. But the best that the young will do to face tomorrow is to go and read. Honorable Member for Jara West.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And let me use this opportunity to thank the Minister of Finance with your team, your constitutional mandate by tabling this estimate of 2024. We call it estimate for now because we are the one who should approve it. I believe the ministry with their team, they have done their homework, forecast, project. It is left to us to also see what can be achievable or what we think is achievable. By saying that, first of all, I want to say this loud and clear. To curtail the deficit of our budget or to bring down our inflation, we have to invest in agriculture. I differ with members who say agriculture is receiving huge amount of money from the budget. Less than 3% of the budget. Let's not forget, there are commitments that we made. Both the Malabo and the Maputo declaration, the 10%. The 10% from the budget should be allocated to agriculture. The only solution to bring down this inflation, you go to the Jaras, the rice fields in Jara. The rice
yoddu sa xat te quality jas na ñoo yor seen cumbukaay tur day uyu borom jas na pire soo ko bëggee fii si biir Gambia bi dawal foofu sa quality jas na your number one stop shop ana sama jigéen ñi dama bëgg ngeen jox ma seen nopp garme yi ndaxte quality jas na amal nañ leen ay til yu toj daala poos abaaya yu yiiw waaye amal nañ leen ay boreda yu rafet boreda yoo xam ne pour góor ñi la ak pour jigéen ñi amal nañ leen body scrub yi nga xam ne nii dafay defar seen yaram bam nice white fàtte wuñ fa diw yi ana sama jeeg yu pare yi quality jas na amal nañ leen fa andi cuuraay yu neex house spray ak bépp xeetu baax pour seen biir néeg dama ne atum ren ji ku sa jëkkër mere ku ne yow la neex ndaxte quality jas na ñëw na si dëkk bi pour defar sëy yi makeup artist yi bàyyi leen gannaaw ñu ngi leen fa amal ay makeup product yu quality waxu leen léegi nii foofu sa Westfield jàkkaarloog monument bi wala nga jokkoo quality jas na si 250 01 24 quality jasna taaral sa bopp taaral sa néeg waaye it bégal sa alaaji aas